is Daily Blast Live. We're talking about what you're talking about.
You all ready for this?
This is a sham.
No.
Nope.
Y'all, just stop.
Get real.
Welcome to DVL. Look who's at the end there, huh? Looking gorgeous as always. We got our own.
Oh, Dr. Coley's.
Yeah, not Jeff.
I know. I just...
The very end, the one and only Dr. Coley joining us today. And we are very excited to see you. But we are starting with some scary sort of diseases that are making headlines. And I just picked this up today. Freaked me out. There's a listeria outbreak, okay, that's now linked to boar's head deli meat. So far, it's killed 9 people. Dr. Coley, what is listeria? I thought it was a mouth thing. And how can we...
Listerine.
Listerine. But how can we protect ourselves? This is terrifying.
It's funny, in medical school we had a mnemonic about Listerine and listeria.
Did you?
Because it's a bacteria that it can infect food, basically. So it can contaminate food, and then it can make you pretty sick, actually, if you ingest it. And that's the 9 people that died. There's many more that ended up in the hospital.
Yeah.
And if it gets into your brain, it can actually cause an encephalitis. If it gets into your blood, it can cause a septicemia. And if pregnant women get listeria from contaminated food, they can have stillbirths. The baby can catch the infection. So it's something that's around us. We just have to be a little more careful. And when we think about raw meat in our homes, we don't really necessarily do all the precautions that we should when it comes to it. So for example, you buy meat from, the grocery store, you should put it in a separate bag. Actually, don't mix it with your fruits or your other produce or such, because even contact can cause contamination. And when you're cooking the meat, you want to make sure you get the internal temperature to at least 165 degrees, even pre-cooked meat. Like hot dogs, for example, the deli meats, the hot dogs, we think that those are cooked and preserved.
Yeah.
But when you're warming those up, you really want to get them nice and warm to try to kill that bacteria.
I always associate listeria with lettuce and like greens.
I don't trust lettuce.
So it can be on produce. It can be on, those pre-cut fruit plates that exist in the supermarket.
Yeah.
You can see it on that. So if it touches a contaminated surface, and that's the problem, many of these factories where they are processing meats and fruits and such, it can get into your food, and you may not even realize, because the symptoms can come many weeks later, up to 10 weeks later. So it's a little different from a regular food poisoning.
Well, thank God for regulations. This is what happens when we have regulations on our food. Right. So sorry.
Well, another one that's really scaring me, because these things love me, are this mosquito-borne illness. It's called EEE. What is that, and how dangerous is it?
So mosquitoes love me too, and it's actually, there's a genetic predisposition for mosquitoes to love you. So identical twins will get bitten the same sort of rate, either a lot or not a lot. So it's something about your sweat and your pheromones and the smells that the mosquitoes get.
I wish I had them bite me. No, they don't like me.
I keep
Not even mosquitoes like Tori.
All right, Rob.
So I'm hoping that you guys are putting on bug spray with DEET every time you go out.
So we are supposed to use it?
That's what I
thought DEET was bad.
Is that DDT?
Yeah, no. So you have to, what I put on is like eucalyptus oil or lemongrass oil, because I don't like using those chemicals altogether. But if you're going to an area, especially the East Coast, for example, where EEE is, West Nile, which is all over the country, you might want to get something a little bit strong.
I don't have anything that you just listed. That's like something you would put on in the south of France. I like this one, and this is like a disease that, Jeff, I feel like you would say this to your kids when they're teenagers. Sloth fever. Like I can see you'd be like, get outside, you got sloth fever. Yeah. So what is that?
Well, we're talking about all the bugs today, right? So EEE, infected mosquitoes, it can cause equine encephalitis.
Is that horses?
Well, so eastern equine encephalitis, it's on the East Coast. It can be anywhere where there's bodies of water. Equine horses can get it. Encephalitis means it can infect your brain or central nervous system. And if it gets into your brain or central nervous system, it's got a 30 to 50% chance of killing you.
Oh my goodness.
So it can be pretty scary. Most people that get it will be asymptomatic, though. That's the good news. But you really want to try not to get bit. Sloth fever can also be through mosquitoes or through little flies that bite, but it's mostly in Central America and in South America. So we're seeing a big wave of it from people coming back from Cuba, and so they're saying that pregnant women, for example, shouldn't travel to Cuba because if they could get infected. And similarly, about 60% of people who get infected with it will have symptoms, and it can cause severe symptoms. So far, no one's had severe symptoms or died from it.
Does it come from sloths?
No.
Does it just make you listless?
Yeah, does it make you like very tired?
It's called the Oropouche virus. is the name of the virus, and it actually originates from Trinidad and Tobago, which is where it was discovered in 1955. It causes like a flu-like illness when you have symptoms, but again, most people aren't getting super sick with it, which is good news. But the moral of the story of all of these, and West Nile is a big one because Dr. Fauci just got hospitalized with West Nile virus.
Oh my God.
Yep. And
My uncle had that. It's serious.
Right?
Yes.
and it's the same mosquito that can give you the sloth fever, that can give you West Nile, or can give you triple E and such. So the moral of the story, make sure you wear long sleeves, make sure you're using, if you're in an area where there's a lot of mosquitoes, make sure you're using those nets at night. Get rid of the bird baths. Get rid of anything that shows standing water in your backyard. Yeah, because that attracts those mosquitoes, especially in the summer months.
I know.
You know, and then put on a candle, a mosquito repellent candle, or wear some of that spray, but just make sure to do it.
Victoria is an animal sanctuary in your backyard.
I have a bee bath where bees can come sit on the rocks and drink from it.
And
So
it's standing
water,
water.
so I have to be careful.
Yeah.
Okay. Switching
But the
gears.
mosquitoes don't like you.
Yeah,
Your
I know.
pheromones, remember?
It's a familiar feeling. Okay, switching gears here. Eli Lilly has started selling its weight loss drug, Zepbound, and it's direct to consumers with a prescription. But instead of coming in those injector pens, it's going to be single-dose vials that you fill on your own and then inject on your own. Is it a good idea to distribute drugs like this?
So I'm mostly feeling positive about this. I want to say like 90% positive, 10% negative. And I'm positive because giving it in these little vials is making it so much less expensive.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, so you're talking $3.99 for a month's supply as opposed to $1,400, which was in the pre-filled pens. So the pre-filled pen is like a inject, click, click, and it just pushes it in. Here you have to draw it up with an insulin syringe and you have to inject it into yourself. The other advantage of having these single vials is that you can sort of change the dose. So for example, if you don't want the full 5 milligrams, you can cut it in half and get 2.5 milligrams, whereas the pre-filled, you're getting what you're getting. But I do think there's a learning curve, and that's that 10% that I'm worried about. So a lot of people are nervous about injecting themselves by drawing up the drug and then injecting it. Could it lead to mistakes, especially if you're older? You know, your hands are shaking, you don't have the dexterity to draw up the drug. But I'm really hopeful that this gets people off of the compounded stuff. I know Jordan tried some compounded weight loss medication, and those are really dangerous. So the idea of making it more accessible and affordable is something we need to do for all prescription medications. So I think this is a step in the right direction.
I remember seeing the commercial for this, and now it makes sense that you're saying it because they were making sure to show kind of just like regular folks.
Yeah.
And I remember it standing out to me because I think I said it on the show one time, Jeff, that it was the first time I saw needles on a commercial.
Oh,
and it
really?
really like kind of took me back, like, wow.
That's the new wave, but
interesting.
You know,
that is the new wave.
$3.99 is still too high for one
it
month
is.
supply.
Absolutely. Before we go, Doc, you have a quick announcement for us. Go
Yes.
ahead. You have the floor.
The flu shots are coming, so get them
the British are coming. Okay.
mid to late September or early October, and the new COVID vaccines have been green-lighted by the FDA. So I want every single one of us to get them. You can get them on the same day. Just put it in your calendar, schedule it for the end of September.
I won't be able to do that.
We don't work here anymore.
I just want Dr. Coley to be proud of me because I have already scheduled my flu shot and my COVID vaccine September 9th.
Did you really?
I'm sorry I'm on it.
Can we get a golf clap around the studio?
I don't think anybody
Just a little.
cares.
Be like Al.
Force them.
Be like Al, everyone. Be like Al. Thank you so much for joining us today. That was very enlightening. Dr. Coley, DBL Nation, follow Dr. Coley on social media, Pile Coley MD, or subscribe to her YouTube page. Plus, check out her podcast, Heart of Medicine, wherever you listen to your podcasts. You are part of us. You're one of us. You can't get away from us. Thank you again for being here.
Sound like a threat.
It is. Coming up on DBL, Kamala Harris's first sit-down interview as a presidential nominee airs tonight. What's at stake for her? And Baywatch star David Chokachi is telling us what it was like to be part of such a huge pop culture phenomenon. Welcome back to DBL. So for weeks now, Republicans have been criticizing Kamala Harris for not sitting down and doing an interview with the press. Well, tonight, Harris and her running mate, Tim Walz, are going to be interviewed by CNN's Dana Bash. The interview will air in prime time at 9 p.m. Eastern on CNN. There is a lot at stake in this interview, and a lot of Republicans, including Trump, say she's going to flunk the difficult questions. What do we think about this? What questions do you want to hear Harris answer? I also have been waiting for a sit-down interview. I would appreciate some policies. I know she's already given some, but the American people who watch CNN haven't heard about that. So I'd like to hear some content. What about you?
Yeah, we haven't heard from her yet, so I'm looking forward to this. I do wish it was live, though, so we're getting the full scope of her answer. I understand CNN and everyone, it's bias, okay? It is. I think every single media news outlet leans one way or the other. So to not have it live and just give her straight interviews, which they can edit, and I think they would if she did have a big blunder, that's a little hesitating, but I guess it's more for the policies that we're going to be watching.
Okay. Thoughts?
I don't think we have to worry about it being edited because, Jeff, everything leaks. Stuff leaks from the White House. Everything gets out. If it was to get out that CNN edited out a question that she answered poorly, that would be the end of CNN.
So why not do it live?
Because it's difficult to do things live. It's very, very difficult, especially for timing. We always forget that we're capitalists, Erica. People got to run commercials. That's what pays for all of this. And when you have things that are live, sometimes people go over. And that would be a situation where you might actually run into something where somebody runs into a 10 o'clock hard out.
But this is the President of the United States. Basketball, football, all sports are live. It's not hard. Everything's live. We're live.
Well,
you could do it. It's the President of the United States. That's why at the debates, they're like, we have to cut you off. Keep going. Football games going to overtime.
I agree with Jeff on this. I agree with Jeff. Erica, go ahead.
I mean, I'm not going to push back on if it's live or if it shouldn't be live. I don't believe that her not being live is due to the idea that she is ill-prepared for this conversation. I think there could be a lot of reasons why she's not live. I think what's particularly triggering to me and most people who are in situations where you have not only the educational backing, the experience in backing, but also you have been elected for every single position that you have ever held in government, and your intellect is being questioned by someone who could not hold a candle to a single piece of your portfolio. So yes, do we need to hear from Vice President Kamala Harris? Absolutely. Is the idea that she's not live is because she's not smart enough? Absolutely not.
But are they, and I agree with you. She's perfectly, of course, qualified. I'm just simply saying I would have appreciated her, not being with Tim Walz.
Right.
I would like her alone.
What about the optics?
Right, and I'd like to see how she handles that, just because I think that's fair for the American people to hear from.
Well, we do get things that say that a lot of Americans don't know Tim Walz. We have to cover this every day, but there are some people that still really don't know who he is.
And they still say that we don't know her.
Right, that we don't know Kamala. I would just
think
like
that
to see
this
her.
is a campaign strategy more than anything else.
Yeah, interesting. All right, on the lighter side, Barack Obama, he's joking about Suitgate. He posted this side-by-side photo showing him and Harris wearing tan suits, commenting how it started, how it's going. 10 years later, and it still looks good. If you don't know what happened when he wore that tan suit of Barack Obama, it was like he had killed a puppy.
I remember that.
It was the biggest scandal that he wore beige.
Yeah.
Right.
Beige. Do you think
was this around the time where he saluted a soldier holding a Starbucks?
And then everyone was sort of,
yes, I just remember. These things seem so trivial now, Erica.
Well, they were trivial.
34 felonies, yes.
If that's your
nothing
scandal,
else to do, apparently.
Right. If that's your scandal wearing
good
tan,
old days.
Do you all think she wore tan on purpose?
I said that she did at the DNC.
Yeah,
I thought that was definitely a nod at being in Chicago. A lot of people are feeling the nostalgia of the Barack Obama presidency and run. I was there during the election evening, so I understood like a lot of that feeling, and I do think that it was on purpose.
Who was the last modern president to wear a tan suit? Anyone?
Reagan.
Reagan? Taft?
That was my answer.
Really? That's really the only guy I know.
Well, who do you think?
I'll go with Teddy Roosevelt.
I think it's Jimmy Carter. Do we have an answer?
I can see that.
Do we have an answer? It was Reagan!
Oh, all right. I like
We're not so sure.
Yeah, we're not sure on that. We're kind of making that up. We'll be right back. Thank you. Welcome back. Baywatch is resurfacing with a 4-part docu-series that dives into the things we didn't see. Earlier, we talked to Cody Madison himself, David Chokachi, all about it. Take a look.
David Chokachi.
How you guys doing?
Good to see ya. Welcome back.
Welcome back. All right, hi, David. So Baywatch was a pop culture phenomenon, and everyone knows the iconic The Beach Run.
Not quite like that.
It was like that. So what do you think?
That was pretty good.
Oh, thank you, David Chokachi. So, wow. What do you think made the show so magnetic? I watched all the time.
I think it was a combination of, Southern California beaches, obviously the casting, the cast itself, the ocean, their ability to translate the ocean and the beach culture into this visual medium, and then include the storylines of lifeguarding. I mean, when you combine those things, if you've ever been to the beach and you're in the sun and you smell the sunblock and the ocean and the sand, it triggers a lot of things in your body that kind of makes you just feel good. And I think you can be triggered that way just by watching the show, and I think that's what happened. And I think that's why the show was such a huge success.
And I lived in America. I was like Tori. I did not miss a show, and I was a former junior
Thank you.
lifeguard. Loved it.
You were?
I was in Santa Cruz. Yes.
Oh my God, that's amazing. See, and you have a skill set now. Like you could probably save your own life.
Could save any of these people. Any of them. Including you.
I would let you.
Your
I would want
family?
it.
That's badass.
Thank you. I appreciate that. All right, let's talk about the Hulu docu-series After Baywatch, Moment in the Sun. It takes a look at some of the less than glamorous parts of fame. What was the craziest thing that you remember from that time?
I think, when Gina and I first came on the show, they flew us to the Bahamas and we did a big photo shoot, and then they took us to England, and before we even started shooting, it was actually 1 year after our first season, and they took Gina and I to do this big press tour in England and Scotland, and I never had seen the actual the popularity of the show firsthand like that before. And when we got there, it was just like, it was like we were the Beatles. It was insane. And although we were, only been on the show a year, the excitement and the enthusiasm for the actors, for myself and Gina, like the new people, it was like they were dying to get a piece of us and find out who we were and like what we looked like and everything. And I think like seeing that kind of just the amount of attention the show drew, especially internationally, was definitely mind-blowing.
You guys were pop culture icons, every single one of you. I can't wait to watch this new series. David, congratulations.
So cool,
Thank you
man.
so much for joining us. DBL Nation, you can watch After Baywatch, Moment in the Sun on Hulu now. Thank you again. We'll be right back. Good to see you.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Welcome back. We've got some great products from our friends at Morning Save. Check them out.
Steph, what do you have for us today?
Hey Sam, nice to see you shopping with us in DPL Nation today. We are super excited to show you all the deals. As ever, they are amazing. And I know Sam loves a good blowout just like me, so this has got our names on it. It's the Anakin Ionic Professional Hairdryer. This doorbuster deal includes one hairdryer with 2 attachments. Doorbuster deals, as you know, are super popular, so in order for everybody to get their hands on it, we've got a limit on these 3 per customer. This has usually been priced up to about $38, but guess what? We have got this hairdryer for $10. That is saving 74%. Up next, we have got the Eat Neat 12-piece knife set with a cutting board and a knife sharpener. This doorbuster deal does include a chef's knife, a bread knife, a slicing knife, a paring knife, and a utility knife, and a knife sharpener with this one cutting board. Doorbuster deals are super popular, as you know, so that means there's a limit on these of 3 per customer. We've seen these priced as high as $40. We've got this entire set for $10. That's saving 75%. Up next, we have got the Lumilise by Conair IPL hair removal device. This deal includes 1 hair removal device, and this device has been priced as high as $287. We, however, have got it for $39.99. That is saving 86%. And our last product today is the Blissful Bath 6-piece 100% cotton bath towels. This set includes 2 bath towels, 2 hand towels, and 2 face towels. We've seen these priced usually around $80. However, we have got this set for just $29.99. That is saving 63%.
Awesome, Steph. Head on over to morningsave.com to snag these amazing deals at the lowest prices. Or you can even scan the QR code on screen to take you directly to these products on Morning Save's website. Thank you so much, Steph.
Okay, if you were all of you were a president at one point, what would be your power color? Like, obviously not tan, but what would be your color that you'd wear?
Purple.
Purple. I like that. Jeff's asleep.
Do you see what you did?
I put
Do
Jeff
you
asleep.
see what you did?
What would you wear?
Oh, we're back.
I just think, being the lazy older guy I am, just an old school black.
Oh, really? Just
Yeah, but
boring?
maybe make the top. Maybe I'm the
Pop.
president, the first that has a little pop in there.
Little
Yeah,
pocket
a little something
square.
in the pink watch. Come
Bring a
on.
little Steve Harvey to the White House.
Yeah.
We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow. Bye, guys.